And I think, like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's more questions than answers on what and how and who this would exactly impact. But what do you think this means for the industry and international films in general? Do you think this would incentivize production to move to the United States?
I mean, it really depends what that tariff or what that taxation regime ultimately looks like. I suppose there could be some incentivization at the margin, but I think our view, as with some of the other tariffs the administration has outlined, is first of all, will they really genuinely provide an incentive for reshoring? Do you really have to think instead about broader issues, subsidies, incentives, availability of skilled labor in particular? I'm saying that in the film industry. Or does it simply jack up the price of producing movies to where less content gets created, or where US consumers have to pay more for streaming services or when they go to the cinema? So I think it's very uncertain, but I don't think this is a surefire bet from the administration in terms of the implementability of any new tariff, but also its effectiveness. Is it really going to have the desired policy effect of reshoring movie production or the filming of movies? And I think there's some very interesting research that's just come out this week from the Peterson Institute in Washington, D.C., that suggests that the broader tariffs that have been implemented by the administration are unlikely to have that much impact on US employment. They suggest jobs growth, even if there's widespread reshoring of manufacturing production, of less than 1 million new jobs. So it's pretty paltry in terms of the net outcomes from a job creation perspective in the manufacturing sector.
And then when you're thinking about how exactly this would be passed on to the everyday consumer, I'm thinking about going to the movies when I was a kid versus going to the movies now. I mean, ticket prices have jacked up to the point where going to the movies was something you could do with your friends, an activity you could do every Friday night. Now you have to be a little more selective when you're looking at those movie prices and then snacks on top of that. I mean, that is an expensive outing. So do you think consumers will really see this and the impact on the global economy too at large?
So I think there is reason to believe that if there's a 100% tariff on foreign produced movies and it's applied in a pretty broad way, some or all of the cost of that will be passed through to consumers. You know, writ large, the impact of the tariffs that have been implemented to date on physical goods haven't really jacked up the headline rate of inflation in the US so far, partly because of a lot of the very smart stockpiling we saw from companies before the tariffs came into effect. But we're already seeing it in areas where there's a high import dependence and limited ability to stockpile. Bananas, which I think we've mentioned previously, shrimps, I think, have gone up by an average of 8 to 10%. So I think it's inevitable that there would be costs passed through to consumers, which just makes it more difficult, more expensive for Americans to go to the cinema.